The US is known for a lot of things, but it's not known nearly enough for being very good at producing energy. At this very moment, in fact, the United States is the top oil and gas producer in the world. That's bigger than the countries known mostly for producing energy like Saudi Arabia. And producing more oil might seem like a problem for anybody who believes that we urgently need a green energy transition. But we can't get there in the future without having fossil fuels in the meantime. Also, this energy production should help us avoid the usual doom tripping about gas prices that happens whenever something goes off the rails in the Middle East like it did in the 1970s. That was true when the Israel-Hamas war broke out in October, as my colleague Javier Blas wrote then, and it is true now as the Houthis ramp up attacks on the Red Sea, carrying out one of their largest on January 9th. And here's why all of this matters. So you are a giant cargo ship coming from the Gulf region to North America, you're stacked with crude oil barrels, you have two options to get your products to North America: go through the little space between Africa and the rest of the world, crawling with Iranian-backed militants, or go all the way around the Horn of Africa. You'd probably make the same choice as all of these ships rerouting over the past 10 days, with many actually pausing routes until further notice. But the rerouting adds 10 to 25 more days of travel, meaning that that's 10 to 25 days more of fuel use. And this trade route is also key for moving products like crude oil and natural gas. It moves about 1 million barrels of crude oil per day. But the funny thing here is, despite all that, crude oil prices are holding relatively steady. And full throttle production in the United States is the reason why. The Biden administration has the US oil industry firing on all cylinders. So oil prices will probably be insulated from this geopolitical conflict. The reason that it's different this time is because the United States is an energy powerhouse. The US was a net importer of crude oil in the 1970s, its own production peaking at 9.6 million barrels a day in 1970. By 1977, the US was heavily reliant on OPEC to the tune of 85% of crude oil imports, but that's all changed. Since 2018, the US has been the world's largest producer of crude oil. It became a net exporter of liquid natural gas in 2017 after beginning exports in 2016. And they became the world's top LNG exporter in 2023, exporting a record 1 million tons, thanks to the continued benefit of the shale revolution and fracking, as well as the return of Freeport LNG and the Venture Global LNG Calcasieu Pass facility, also buoyed by both Europe and Japan's energy needs. Oil and natural gas are a huge part of the US economy, accounting for 10 million jobs. The total impact on US GDP is roughly $1.8 trillion. And of course, this is not entirely a celebration, because we still have climate change and we still have the broader green energy transition to worry about. But clean energy is growing too. We need crude and LNG to make that transition work. For better or for worse, the United States has navigated the world of energy independence pretty well.